Hi guys, I'm Ray from Bake with Ray. Welcome to the Ramadan series.
I'll be uploading recipes for Ramadan for the next 30 days, but don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell icon so you can get a notification for every time that I post a recipe. I'll be teaching you how to make these funky and delicious pizza twists today, a great addition to any dinner table. We're going to start off by making the dough. So in a large mixing bowl, you want to add in your plain flour, some baking powder. We're using baking powder as a raising agent here instead of yeast just to make it quicker and easier, some salt, some olive oil and some plain yogurt. Then you want to weigh out 180 milliliters of water. Warm or cold doesn't really matter. I'm using my mixer to make the dough here. So start off on a slow speed and gradually add in all your water until all the dough comes together. Then you want to let it knead in the mixer for about 3 to 4 minutes until it becomes nice and soft. You can also knead it by hand, you don't need to use a stand mixer. Once it's done, you want to take it off the dough hook and then make it into a bowl and put it back into the same bowl. Cover it with a little bit of olive oil and then cover it with some cling film and leave it to the side while you prepare your fillings. So for your fillings, you can pretty much use whatever you like. So whatever pizza toppings you normally like, you can use those. All you need to make sure is that you dice everything into really small chunks so that it's easier when you're trying to twist it and nothing, well, most of the stuff doesn't fall out, some will. So I used red pepper and some red onion and also some sweet corn. But again, you can use whatever filling you like. You can even add cooked meat to this as well. Season with some salt, pepper and some dried oregano and give it a good mix. Set your filling aside. Then we're going to prepare like a cheap pizza sauce. This is what I do. I add some tomato ketchup, some tomato puree and some pasta sauce together and give it a mix. You can use whatever pizza sauce you like or prefer. Then you want to grate some cheddar cheese. Use the large side of the grater rather than a fine grater and then put that aside. Prepare a baking tray that is big enough, so you want it at least 12 inches in diameter, and then put a piece of baking paper on top and put that aside. Now we're ready to roll out our dough. Sprinkle your work surface with some excess plain flour. Split your dough in half. The half that you're not using at the moment, cover back again and put it to the side. The one that you are using, you basically want to gather the sides into the middle just to make sure that all the seams are in one place. You want it to be a nice neat circle. So we basically just fold in all the edges to the middle just to gather up all the seams, and then you want to roll it in the palm of your hands and then flatten it into the plain flour, cover it with the flour and then roll out. Just roll out into a circle that is roughly about 12 inches wide. It should be nice and thin. You don't want it to be thick because otherwise you're going to end up with too much bread on your pizza twist and it won't taste as good. So I'm rolling it here into a 12-inch circle. You can always sprinkle a little bit more flour if your dough starts sticking. Then you want to put that onto your baking tray, your prepared baking tray, and just make sure that it's nice and flat. The dough is pretty easy to handle, it's not sticky, so you should be able to do it really easily. Add your pizza sauce and spread it out into a nice even layer on top of your pizza. This is all like a regular pizza at the moment. So half of the cheese that you grated, the cheddar cheese, sprinkle that over the top. And then half of the mozzarella, grated mozzarella, you can just buy grated mozzarella, you want to sprinkle that over the top, and then sprinkle your toppings, whatever you decide to use, on top in a nice even layer. I feel like I didn't add enough in mine. Now ignore the top layer of dough here at the moment, guys, because what we're supposed to do is add another layer of cheese on top before we add the dough on top. So that's what I'm doing here, but I had to do mine in halves just because it was hard to take the whole thing off the top. So you want to add some more, the rest of your cheddar and the rest of your mozzarella, but as a whole layer on the top. I hope that makes sense. Once you've done that, then you want to go ahead and roll the second half of your dough just the same way that you rolled the bottom half into a circle that is about 12 inches wide. So to put it on top, just fold it over your rolling pin, bring back your pizza. So this should be covered with cheese on the top, if I explained properly. Then put your second piece of dough on top, and then you want to press everything down. So you can stretch the dough a little to match up the sides if you need to, and you want to give everything a good press so that everything is kind of stuck down together, and this will make it easier when we are going to do our twisting later. Now, for the twisting bit, this is the fun bit. I say fun bit, but so you want to get something that is round and put it in the center just to give you a guideline. Now, I thought mine was center, but clearly it was not. Then you want to get a pizza cutter or a sharp knife, whatever's easier for you. And you're going to cut lines at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So a bit like the faces of a clock, top, bottom, right, and left. And then each of those quarter sections that you've cut, you want to cut into half again, and then those sections into half again. So altogether, you should end up with about 16 pieces, okay, of pizza dough, pizza, whatever sections, whatever you want to call it. So again, like you can use a pizza cutter, whatever, and just you want to cut up to the line that you made, so not all the way through, so because you want it won't twist properly if you cut all the way through. Then you carefully gather both sections up. So this is why you need the dough to be cut properly all the way through. Hold them together and then give them a twist. The first one is a little bit difficult to do because it's everything's like kind of stuck together, but then as you carry on, it'll be easier for you to do. Just make sure that you just carefully lift up both sections together and then twist. You want to twist it about 2 or 3 times before you place it back down again. And if you feel like the dough is still stuck at some places, just make sure you go through again with a sharp knife just to make sure that it is completely cut, and that will make sure that it's easier for you to twist. I keep feeling like I'm saying make sure so many times, but you get the gist. Optional sprinkle of sesame seeds on top. Bake in your preheated oven for about 20 minutes. While our pizza's baking in the oven, we're going to prepare a nice garlic butter. So in a bowl, you want to add your butter, melt it in the microwave, and then grate in 1 or 2 cloves of garlic. It just depends on how garlicky you want your garlic butter to be. Then add a little bit of parsley into that and give that a mix and set that aside to when the pizza is ready. Once it is baked, go ahead and brush that lush garlic butter all over the top of your pizza. This is going to give it an extra delicious flavor, but also soften up that dough a little bit more. And here is the result, guys. It's a beautiful centerpiece for a party if you want to bake it. And make sure you're not stingy with the filling, guys. Make sure it's nice and full. Add a decent amount of cheese as well to get a decent cheese pull from this. This is absolutely delicious. You can change up the fillings to whatever you like. Enjoy the recipe, guys. If you like this recipe video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Enjoy!